Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, unlocking the power of thinkorswim, the award-winning trading platforms loaded with features that let you dive deeper into the market. Visualize your trades in a new light on thinkorswim desktop with robust charting and analysis tools, all while you uncover new opportunities with up-to-the-minute market news and insights. thinkorswim is available on desktop, web, and mobile to meet you where you are. It's built by the trading obsessed to help you trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, Andros.
Do you ever get imposter syndrome? Like you feel like you're just faking it and you're like, oh man, I hope no one realizes.
I mean, I guess, but I'd never admit to it, you know? I
Really?
would never admit to anyone that I get it, but yes, I do.
Okay. Well, what if you just faked it till you make it? What if you did that?
Yeah, right. Well, I try. I try to fake it till I make it, and sometimes the results work, and sometimes they don't. But often I found that faking it till you make it is a good path forward.
That's actually how we made this podcast. Was just that.
We didn't. We were professionals from day one.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the Marketing Geeks.
Marketing Geeks.
This episode is brought to you by Welch's Fruit Snacks. Big news for your kids' lunchbox. Welch's Fruit Snacks are now made without any artificial dyes. A snack parents can feel good about and the same delicious taste kids can't get enough of. All made with no artificial dyes. Try Welch's Fruit Snacks today.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. Hey, man, we've got this really killer guest, and you're going to love him because he is a guy who was listed under Forbes 30 under 30, but he faked it until he made it. But he's also like a storyteller and a filmmaker, and he has an ad agency where he creates ads that are super creative and then also does the ad spend and all of that. It's all in like one kit. Super groovy. Ladies and gentlemen, Travis Chambers. Hey, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for agreeing to be on. And for those of our listeners who don't know you, tell us a little bit about like what you do exactly.
So I make, it sounds simple, but it's really difficult. So we produce really high production video ads that we run as Facebook and YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok ads. And they're really, 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 really good. They're like Fortune 500 Super Bowl quality ads, but they're fully optimized for social. And doing that, we've tripled the revenue of 4 multi-million-dollar companies in the last year and a half.
Not bad.
I just want to step in here and say that this isn't he's just stating a fact. It's not like this is an ego thing. I've seen these things. They are really, really good. Super high quality, super high professional, and they're watchable. They run about 4 minutes in length average, but you get a lot of information.
And Andros has severe ADD, so if he calls it watchable, that's.
I'm sorry, I was paying attention. What were you saying?
What do you film them in? What kind of camera are you using?
They're squirrel proof. We use Red. We shoot on Red mostly for our bigger stuff, and then we'll shoot on DSLRs for smaller retargeting ads.
So for those of you that don't know, the Red is that's like the top end video camera that's out there. I worked on one movie set in my time, and we were filming the entire thing on a Red. That movie never saw the light of day in theaters, but it was still a cool experience. And Eric Roberts was in the film, just for a side note.
Well, what blows me away is 20 years ago, everything was shot on film. So you had to have a huge $400,000 large format camera. And then everything had to be perfect. You couldn't even like fully exactly see what you were filming. Then it had to get processed. And now DSLRs changed everything. And then Red filled the gap. And really changed everything.
So do you have a film background, or what? I mean, you're using like top end film equipment. Did you go to film school, or like what's your background in film that brought you, like, how did that come in with the advertising side?
I have zero background in film, so just self-taught, declared myself a director, and closed a $150,000 production, and we went and made it, and it turned out super viral, and that was it.
Wait a minute. I gotta break this down a little bit. So let's rewind. So first of all, how did you get into this, like from the beginning?
So I made homemade movies growing up on the handy cams, like we all did. Duct taped the VCR shoulder camera to the top of the helmet cam, dirt bikes. So I gave into the old parental route of, hey, do something safe. So I went to PR. But that was 2009. That's when journalism pretty much officially died permanently.
Right.
And I was like, digital marketing is going to be the way I go. I wanted to be graphic design. I got accepted to USC's film school. Nice. But it was $60,000 a year. I didn't have any money. So I went to this agricultural school in rural Utah and went to a program that wasn't really, a program. It wasn't like a super strong program. There was 2 really good professors, and that was about it. And then it was all just self-taught from there. Had an accidental breakthrough, very embarrassing breakthrough. My wife and I guess I got really interested in Devin Supertramp. He was really big YouTuber. Now he's huge on Facebook. Got really big. He invited all these people. When he had like 1 million subscribers on YouTube in like 2014, he held this meetup. Actually, I think it was 2012, 2011. He had a meetup, 300 people came. I was there. We all got super pumped up, and we were all bit by the viral YouTube bug. My wife and I made a viral video. She said, if I'm going 80 miles, I said, hey, if you're going 80 miles an hour, how long does it take to go 80 miles? And she spends 5 minutes trying to explain it.
I've seen this.
You've seen that video?
Yeah.
So it got 10 million views. And we were in Tosh.0, Good Morning America. It went huge. And that was it. That like got me in the door to the top creative agency of the decade, was Christian Porter and Bogusky in LA, because Kraft wanted to license our video. And I said, go ahead, license the video, but I'll give it to you for free if you give me an interview. And I got the job. They flew us out to LA, housed us out there, and then that's where it all started.
I love that leverage to get that interview.
Well, it's also like just seeing where the opportunities are going, and then instead of just saying I'm taking the opportunity, you amplify the opportunity to really make it in your favor. I mean, that's brilliant maneuvering. So I want to play some audio for our
all 7 of them,
for our 7 listeners, because you can't see things on podcasts. I found out after like our 7th show.
Who knew? Who knew?
But
nobody told me.
I thought people had sonar, echolocation, whatever.
My phone was broken.
I thought people were just like me, and you see like invisible flying elves all the time. I don't know that. Yeah. So, okay. So this is for Nerd Skincare. This is the video starts out. There's a girl. She's standing in an 80s looking arcade, and there are gross children touching it, and a food fight kind of happening in the background. So this is what she imagine her standing in that situation. And then
why did I choose bacteria-filled hellhole to talk to you? Because it may just be the perfect representation of your face. Acne, people. I'm talking about acne. What's worse than acne? Adult acne. Like that time you broke out the night before your job interview. And your zits were on the forefront of your mind. Literally. I'm really good with pimples. People. I'm good with people. Not.
And she's now in the interview. So it cuts from the arcade to her in the interview, and she's got pimples on her face that are like glaring. And so it's like this very like exaggerated, almost Arrested Development type humor in these commercials. But they're watchable. I mean, this one is like almost 5 minutes. But I want to watch the entire thing because it's just like, and the information is being delivered. So what made you, like, first of all, do you have a creative team? Do you write these scripts? Like what's the process on making one of these films from the time, like how do you acquire your clients? And then what's the process to when it's launched and what you do from there?
Yeah, so a client usually will come to us. Sometimes they will have, they'll just want a really viral video, almost in like they're just interested in it. You know, they've seen Old Spice and Dollar Shave Club, and they really want that. But other times, most of the time, they really want growth, and they realize that they can't get there with smaller type of creative. Usually they're brands that, they realize they just need really good writing and really good creative to really break through and to further scale, because you can actually grow a company to a decent size without great creative if you're really good at targeting and have a good product. So they usually come to us, and then we'll figure out how big they want to go. If they want to do millions in sales, then we will start out spending a few $100,000 a month. Usually they're already spending quite a bit if they want to do that. But other brands will be spending $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, but they need better creative in order to get to that next level. And so that's where we dive in, and we build concepts, and they hire us. We write the script. We do a deep dive.
Now, who's we? Is it like how many people on your team?
So we're 25 people full-time, about 20 contractors in Salt Lake. We've got a studio down there that we shoot on. And then we make it. We make the thing, and then we edit it, and then we cut it up, and we make multiple variations. So we shoot it in a modular format. So we'll have 3 or 4 different hooks, and then we'll test 4 or 5 different sales messages throughout, different visuals, different elements. And then we'll test 4 or 5, 6 versions of that video, and that will get us our scalable winner. And then we'll launch and we'll scale with that. And then we create all sorts of retargeting videos behind that, like unboxings, product demos, side-by-side comparisons, testimonials, social proof, all that stuff.
Is everything that you're doing, is it all ads or video ads? Is that the entirety of it? Are you doing any image ads, text ads, experience ads?
90% is video, and we'll have sometimes we'll use images to make a video with text overlays and stuff, which is pretty common.
Yeah.
But video is getting the best performance overwhelmingly across the board.
And what kind of goals are you running with the video ads? Are you running for views? Or are you running for, like, I'm thinking Facebook in my mind, because I've done a lot of work on the Facebook platform, but are you optimizing for views? Or are you doing conversions, and you're creating like conversion goals?
90% of the time it's conversion. So 4 years ago, 90% of it was brand awareness, because you could get views and Facebook would charge a premium for conversions when Facebook didn't really have that great data 4 or 5 years ago. But now their data is unparalleled. They're like light years ahead of anybody else. And so now we're pretty much always conversion campaigns. We pay that premium, and it works really well for us.
Well, let's talk about the quality here, because you're creating like super high quality video. There's, we've talked on the show before about different schools of thought, how some people like the more grainy, more backstage type of feel versus the high production value. So has your experience been, have you always been on the high end, or have you tried both formats and this is what's working for you? I'm just curious in your opinion on that.
Format as far as like length and stuff? Or?
I'm talking more about the quality. Like, like somebody uses their cell phone to film a video versus a red, like professional 4K, 5K, whatever that film's at, I forget. But high-end camera, or 8K or whatever it is. What has your experience been as far as like, the difference in like filming a low quality pixel video versus a high quality?
Yeah, so I'd say in a majority of cases, what really matters is the writing and the story and the visuals, and less often does the resolution or production quality matter. So production quality is simply a lever you can pull that keeps people, it gets a larger percentage of people interested for a longer period of time. That's all that is. So it's not has to be look like a Nike commercial in order to perform. It's a good, better, best scenario. So your Nike ads that are beautiful and written by the best writers in the industry, that's the best. But lots of companies scale with good. Now, Chamber, I'll say the ads we've made for ourselves, they're not even in that best category. We threw those things together because we wanted a rapid iterative test what kind of messaging and narrative would work. And now that they're doing really well, we'll go reshoot and do it way nicer, way bigger, way better. the other thing that we found, we've tested this, we spent a lot of money testing this, is we've basically identified that there seems to be two camps of buyers. And some people seem to be more skeptical. They're less like visual and aesthetically motivated. These are the kind of people that may like drive a Honda Civic or a Prius because they just don't care to have a beautiful car,
but still have millions of dollars.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. They're very skeptical. They're just not necessarily as visually inclined, and so for them, the information is what's important. And so we've seen iPhone shot videos will perform really well with that half of people. Now, the other half of people, they have to have the image, the identity. They want to be able to identify with something that's really aspirational and ambitious and beautiful and sexy. And those are the people who buy Gucci purses and wear Armani suits and drive a car they can't afford. And
so it depends on your target demographic, really. Like then it depends on whether or not you're going to go for that higher end sort of look. So the question I have then is, okay, so you create the piece of content and you test it. I guess you take out like very small ad spends on different types of messages and different cuts of a particular piece of content, right? See which one performs best towards that particular demographic. Then do you like recut it with the kind of the winning sort of vibe that you're looking at?
That's exactly it. Yep. So lots of variations, and we'll move them out throughout the funnel too. So we'll say, well, let's test this ad in a prospecting, and then let's see what kind of retargeting assets get them to buy behind that. Or then we'll test something in retargeting to see if it gets people to convert after they've seen a prospecting ad. So a prospecting ad is just your broad, that's when you want to reach people who have never heard of you before. And then your retargeting is obvious. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Right.
So we've seen some like raw iPhone testimonials drive millions in sales at the top of funnel, equally as efficient as our $50, $100, $200,000 productions. Yeah. And we don't see that as a detriment at all to either side. We just see that as it takes all types of content to really perform.
So what type of retargeting audiences are you building? Are you building around, I'm assuming you're building around video view length. Is that primarily what you're doing? You're probably also building around website visitors, pixelated people that have been pixeled. But tell me like what percentage of video view have you found to be like the best retargeting? Or does it vary based on the ad? And I also wanted to know, when you're doing split testing, like, do you have a set number of impressions that you try to reach to determine if something's been successful or not?
Yeah, so retargeting based on time watched completely varies. So it's anywhere between 3% and 20% is what we've seen, is usually that the most common range. And the reason for that is we usually get the brand introduced within the first 20 seconds of the video. Mm-hmm. So we're usually optimizing around that, because if they see the creative before they hear about the brand and they click away, then they've, in some cases, they don't know whether or not they were into this thing or not. So usually the problem, we can hook them and then we introduce the brand. And so we really want to be able to retarget people after they've heard about the brand, because then they really can decide if they want to self-qualify themselves or not. And, the old way is people would send the cheapest traffic they could and try to get the website to do all the work. Well, the new way is you want your video funnels to get people, because the truth is views are cheaper than clicks, way cheaper.
Yes, way
so
cheaper.
You don't want people clicking that aren't going to have a high intent. And now as far as...
that's a good point. That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually it's surprisingly, surprisingly new. I'd say majority of marketers still haven't really made that conclusion yet.
Yeah. So I just want to reiterate this particular point because it's a really good one. You make the video, you wait about 20 seconds before you introduce the brand, because then you can tell if someone actually has been paying attention or they just clicked through. Like how it guarantees that if they're on this side of the engagement rate or the other side of the engagement rate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And as far as your question about behaviors and how we retarget, so it's pretty standard. So it's website retargeting. One thing that's a little bit unique that we do is we will make specific retargeting assets for people who have been to the checkout cart but didn't purchase. So we call those cart reminders.
Yeah,
that's something that maybe is a little more unusual that we do.
I played with that a little bit. So basically like abandoned cart. You're following people. Now, even on that same though, when I was asking about the impressions, do you have a set number of impressions that you like to reach to then determine whether an audience has been successful or not?
No. So for us, it's all about the conversions and how warmed up the pixel is. So generally what we've seen is once you get to 25 conversions, that conversion could be anything you want. That could be going to a second page on the website. It could be giving you the email. It could be clicking a certain link, or of course it could be a purchase. And what we've seen is usually 25 conversions on a given ad set will get that pixel really warmed up. And that's where Facebook starts to get really powerful. So we don't look at honestly, we almost pay zero regard to views and impressions. And it's really about conversions.
Now, Facebook obviously plays a large role in kind of your advertising methodology. And so what I'd love to ask you about that is, do you think that Mark Zuckerberg is an evil alien from space?
Great question.
I think he's just he's a genius. He's like probably.
You don't think he's a cyborg? You don't think he's like wearing a human suit? Like,
I don't think so.
Man,
the lizard theory.
Oh, yeah, it could be a shape-shifting lizard hybrid. That's right. I forgot about those.
Hey, I do. I will say that I do think there are aliens among us. So
yeah, totally. Of course.
We just can't see them.
Yeah, but if you drink ayahuasca, you can, and that's
that's a separate conversation.
Or if you die clinically and then they bring you back.
Yeah, then you've experienced that releases DMT right before you die, right?
That's right. That's right. It's your brain is flooded with DMT, which is the same thing in ayahuasca. So
I heard if you listen to Joe Rogan enough, you will start to see aliens.
Yeah, or you just look at Joe Rogan and think he's an alien.
I think if you listen to this show enough, you might too, because we talk about like simulation theory and lots of weird things on this show. Also,
I don't want to get too off track, but I think the simulation is my backup plan for religion. So really, So if it turns out religion's not true, then I'm just going to say, okay, more intelligent population created a simulation, and all the religion is actually an accurate metaphor. So I'm good either way.
I'm into the idea that we're already in the simulation, and so what you're thinking is just like what you would think in the simulation. I think you're like an AI that's like.
I got a question. I want to bring it back on track. I want to. You mentioned that you're running ads on TikTok. I've barely used TikTok. Andros is playing with it more than me. I'm well aware of the value of TikTok. People are all over me to get on there.
Definitely.
But I want to just talk about like, what's the ads platform like on there? Like, I imagine it's in its early infancy. Is it, how developed is it? Like, how does that work? What does that look like?
We're just doing very small test spends. So we haven't spent any great amount of money because, like you said, the platform is it's just very like caveman basic right now.
Especially the ads platform, I would think. Yeah.
And it's really young, right?
Yeah. But that's going to change because everything they're doing is built like Facebook. Pinterest has copied Facebook. Actually, I don't know. I'm surprised there's no lawsuits. They've literally just like copied the whole UX of the ad platforms. But I'm sure TikTok, Pinterest. It has to be that they hired Facebook engineers to build all this stuff out.
Probably
because the Google UX is totally different.
Well, remember when Instagram stories and Facebook stories copied Snapchat? I mean, come on, there was no lawsuit there. So they're like, well, if they can get away with that, we can get away with stealing everything from Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Snapchat's going to survive, to be honest with you guys. I know it's big and it's getting adopted by older people, but I just don't know if they got the leadership, and I don't know if they have these. I think TikTok is going to probably edge them out really quick.
TikTok is great. I mean, I actually I try to stay away from TikTok for two reasons. Number one, because I don't like the idea of all of my data going to the Chinese government, but that's a different topic. Not that there's anything wrong with, it's either the US government or Chinese government. So.
Snapchat made some really bad business decisions with how they went public, trying to I think they all knew spectacles wasn't going to be anything, and they smoke and mirrored it. And I think TikTok, they have unlimited funding. Yeah. That's what it takes.
Well,
and it's also the thing I love about it is the interface is just so simple, and it's really just you're seeing people doing amazing stuff. I mean, to me, part of the thing that makes TikTok great is that it's kind of what social media was really designed for, where you just see people doing awesome stuff all day long. I mean,
for now,
it's the first platform that has made the ability to create a complete average Joe, every person. Like YouTube, you had to shoot a video and edit it, and then it had to be very good, and it had to be perfectly optimized. Like you've got to be very, very skilled to grow a YouTube channel. Yeah, in most cases, and to be successful at it on an ongoing basis. But TikTok, right, where they have the duet feature and stuff, it just everyone can riff off of everybody else. It's doing something that no one's ever done. It really is kind of like the ultimate social platform.
And it's really opened up for organic. It's still open for organic reach, which is the big thing that everybody's on, because, you know, Facebook business pages, you get to reach what, like 2% of your followers when you post on Facebook. I mean, it's like you want to talk about a dead platform. I did want to come back to one thing on Snapchat.
What made Snapchat grow is what's going to kill Snapchat, and that's the private one-on-one thing that it started with, and then selling out and then collecting data anyways. Like it just, Snapchat should never have been a rival social network. You know, it should have stayed an app like it was.
They've tried to rebrand themselves as like an augmented reality company. That's what I've seen recently, is that they're trying to like call themselves a technology company now instead of a social media company. But I think the damage is done. It's probably too late. I'm kind of on your.
I do think the next big social platform, it is some kind of AR ecosystem, right? That's mobile.
Yeah, maybe, but you've got to have hardware that is seamless with your day. You know, like it's got. If I have to wear a clunky thing on my head, it's not.
No one's going to do that.
Right. Well, I need to ask you a question. This relates to TikTok. I just read this article, I think it was in Wired, where they talk about how TikTok music producers are making small 30-second loops. And if the loop is successful, then they make the song and put it on Spotify. It's kind of the new way of testing, you know, how something sounds. And so songs have become shorter because of that. But I want to find out from you if you have used TikTok in that same way to test various messages, and if you think that kind of thing is going to be more of the norm moving forward.
You know, we haven't. And part of the reason is because you got to have an audience to be able to test it. And brands just don't have very much audience right now on TikTok. So we're still relying on ads to do that testing pretty much. And it's just like the reach is so diminished on the other platforms that I think testing organic is a great strategy. And I'd say, I think that might be a smart move for a brand to do with their own people. For an agency, it's a tough model to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so where do you see, I mean, first of all, obviously it seems like Facebook is still a relevant platform for advertising.
Unless you've been banned.
I'm actually talking clients out of using Facebook now. I feel like since to me, the platform is not an integrity, especially with people's data. I don't want to give them business. But you still find it, for the time being, an effective marketing tool. Can you talk a little bit about that and where you see the future of Facebook going?
For me, Facebook has never been better than it is right now.
Really?
Yeah. So the herd is getting thinned right now, and it's more expensive than it's ever been. And the data, though, is exponentially richer than it was a year ago, even 2 years ago. It's like the Facebook has gotten to a point of like, it's just an omniscient behemoth. It's an all-knowing, it's like God mode now. It's so bad for humanity, but it's so good for advertising. So that's
why Zuckerberg is a multidimensional like skin alien. he has like the most powerful thing in the universe. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah. Well, hopefully all the money he gives away makes up for it, like Bezos.
That's right. Bezos committed to $10 billion to fight climate change yesterday, I think it was. But that's probably, I didn't read the whole thing, but I think probably after he dies, though, I would imagine. I don't know. I don't know what the stipulations were on that $10 billion.
After he's living on Mars and Elon Musk is sending iPhones to him, you know.
There's 2 studies out that say all we need is 1 trillion trees. That's it. I don't know.
1 trillion trees. That's a lot of space, though.
Well, no until we try it. Maybe $10 billion can pay for that. But
so
anyways,
let's take a step back here, because when we started the conversation, we started about this idea of faking it till you make it, and you shared a story about how you leveraged a viral video into a job interview with an advertising agency through Kraft. Now, so what was it like working for that ad agency, and kind of like, tell me about the experience there. Is that basically where you learned most of your skills from? I mean, is that what you would attribute to where you are in your career today?
Yeah. So fake it till you make it should never apply to scientists, engineers, or doctors.
I was going to say doctors for sure. Yeah.
But it always applies to marketing because
doctors? That explains a lot.
You know what they say about
or sword swallowers.
You know what they call the person who ranks bottom in their graduating class? Doctor.
Yes, I love that
sword
one.
Swallowers or sword swallowing doctors, which is that's the thing that was a whole other.
So in marketing and PR, we basically are all, we're all fake it till you make it. There's a reason my PR graduating class was full of beauty school pageant girls. But so what happened is I actually learned most of my skills in internships and side projects. So started an MMA fight in college that was sanctioned and
Fight Club
legal. Like it was 2,000 people showed up to the first event. We held it in an ice hockey arena. We had EMTs, we had licenses, judges. It was all above board. But I learned those foundational tactics through businesses like that. So I flyered 1,000 cars at football games until the cops chased me away. I would put lawn signs around the whole town, and with no phone number, no contact or anything. And then I would invite people. So I would message people on Facebook and say, if you invite 200 people to this group, I'll give you a free ticket. They would screenshot that they had invited 200 people to this event. And so I pretty much figured out if I got 8,000 people invited out of 100,000 people in the town, that I get 2,000 people to show up. So it was just like I started a painting company that I had 6 months and I didn't make any profit on that.
Was that through College Works Painting?
Yeah,
it was. I did that too.
How was your experience with that?
I did 20 grand in business, which is not that great, but I sold. It was talk about faking it till you make it. I'm knocking on doors,
But you gotta explain what this whole thing is.
Okay, so let's take it.
I think you're smarter than me. You probably half-assed it, and it was probably the smartest thing you ever did, because I went full bore. And I would do anything to close the deal.
Oh, I totally half-assed it. This was my college days. I was at UC Santa Barbara, so I'm like partying and like I'm supposed to work on the weekends for the College Works Painting. So doing 20 grand was actually pretty impressive, given the fact that I didn't even go out there every weekend.
So I did 60. I did 60, and by the end of the summer, I was $3 grand in the hole. So I closed the biggest, fattest job I could for the end of the year. And I went and did it without College Works being involved. And that was
nice.
That was the only way I survived.
So to explain this, this company, College Works Painting, it's almost structured like an MLM. I mean, the best way to describe it, I guess.
It is.
It's and what they do is they set you up with a franchise of their painting, house painting business, and you're responsible for buying your own equipment, but they give you the training, they give you the liability insurance, they give you that kind of setup, and then we have to go door to door and build a business from scratch. So it was quite an experience. I'm glad I did it for the value of what I learned in it. But essentially, yeah, it was like working for free. And but for me, in that same kind of vein, though, this whole idea of fake it till you make it, it's like, how can I find ways where I can work for free or get paid to learn?
Yeah.
And it's finding, like, even if it's a low paying job, like if I could find a way where I can get paid to do what I'm doing and learn, that's how you fake it till you make it, because you've got to get your foot in the door there, whether it's internships or like low paying jobs or whatever it takes. But that was my journey of fake it till you make it, was like just finding these ways of doing that instead of the path of paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for, these seminar companies or for, college through like a university, like that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, it is. It is that. It's like those mechanics translate to everything else you do, right? Regardless of the platform. You know?
Absolutely. If the very first website I ever built, I charged for, and I think I ripped that person off, even though I charged like $500 because I was just like, I'm just going to build a website for you. And
yeah,
it was a terrible.
The thing is just like that. And there may be like some it may feel a little sketchy, right? Say fake it to make it, but really there's the reason it's okay to say that is there's no other way to learn marketing. Yeah. Marketing is completely theoretical. So there is no way to learn it you could find someone with a doctorate in marketing, and you could go find a 20-year-old who grew up with a dad who was a vice president of marketing at some company, and he'll destroy him. Yeah. So
and it's also because you sometimes you just got to try things. You're just like, I don't know, I'm just going to do this, see if this thing works.
In medicine they call it, I'm practicing medicine. Right. Doctors actually do fake it till they make it. Their first surgery it's total insanity. But there's just, they do surgery on pigs first and stuff, so that's good.
Yeah, nobody wants to know that their doctor is doing the first surgery on them, but it's got to happen from time to time, right?
Yeah, they do have cadavers and stuff. There's no cadavers for marketing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so that's always the answer. If anybody's wondering, like, how do I really get into marketing? Just do it. And
no cadavers in marketing.
But the hardest one that people ask me is, hey, how do I learn how to write like comedic writing for anchor videos? And I'm like, do it and fail. That's it. That's the only, like, it can't be taught. It takes a year of just slogging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing with stand-up comedy, I would imagine. Just do it and fail, because
I really want to try. So the last 6 months I've been writing like a half-hour stand-up routine, and given like, I'm not naturally a gifted comedian. Like, it doesn't come to me naturally. Yep. But I've been trying to really think about, because I do think, obviously, I think we all agree, stand-up's the most difficult form of writing, probably, of any genre.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's harder than drama, thriller, narrative, it's harder than anything.
I've known stand-up comedians, and the other aspect to that is there's a skill in being able to deliver the same routine night after night while making it feel different and then making it feel fresh. Because when you hang out with these guys, it's 95% of their set is the same thing every single day. And some of them go 5 days a week for like a year or longer with the same material. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. And they have to continue to make that sound like it's the first time they're delivering it, kind of like a musician almost. And then keep the audience engaged. So there's a lot of skill sets involved.
So you're doing some comedy writing right now.
Yeah, I am. So I don't know if I'll ever perform it, but I've been trying to challenge myself with that exercise.
Have you done any improv training, anything like that?
No.
That's something I want to get into.
I guess I kind of have though, because I've briefed and guided probably like 50 different comedic writers over the last 6 years. So in a way, I think they probably have trained me to a degree. Mm-hmm.
Now it seems like you've always been the type of person to be a bit more entrepreneurial, like take chances, stretch yourself. So is this something that you feel like you've always had that trait, or is it something that you acquired at some point or made a choice to acquire?
I don't know. I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur, even though I was doing it. I never thought of myself. I always just my dad was a corporate guy. He grew Roundup to what it is now at Monsanto, gave tons of people cancer, including himself.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up in it, in the marketing side, but I always planned on having a job. I remember when I was 19, I was like, if I can make $100,000 a year by the time I'm 30, I will have made it, and that will be it for me. That's it.
Not so much money anymore, is it?
No,
no, not really.
Not really. No. So I found myself at 26 making 120 in at 20th Century Fox, and I was working like 70 hours a week, and just wasn't very rewarding work. It was my dream job, and I hated it. So that's when I really started to figure out I was an entrepreneur.
So you were working at 20th Century Fox doing what?
I was director of social media for 3 months.
Oh,
and what year was this?
This was 6 years ago.
Okay.
So okay, why 3 months? And when was that moment that you were like, nope, I'm going to do this on my own?
So they brought me in to do video, and I was not very well equipped or experienced in what they ended up needing me to do. So I really sucked at that job. And part of the reason I was working 70 hours a week is I was incompetent in so many ways to deal and navigate that kind of Hollywood. And 20th Century Fox is kind of notorious for being the most difficult. I had friends at like Sony Pictures and a few other studios, and I was like, God, you guys have such a cush job compared to me.
Were you living in LA?
Yeah, in LA, yeah.
Wow, I lived in LA for.
We've been everywhere, man.
Where were you living in LA?
Redondo Beach.
And where was this? What year?
6 years ago.
Okay,
2013, 14.
Yeah. And the other thing about Hollywood is that it's as if someone shook the entire United States and only the normal people hung on, and everybody with some sort of mental disorder, it's sociopath, psycho, banana head, just like ended up at the studios.
That's why I'm really close to LA, but not quite there, because that's like the metaphor fits perfect for me too. I think just a little bit outside.
I think that most of our sociopaths in this country are in New York and Wall Street and in Hollywood. And it just attracts those people. And if you ever want to see what happens to people who don't make it, just go to the DMV in South Hollywood and you'll find them. Lots of plastic surgeries,
it's wild. So here's
I think that's the reason that South Central exists and that Skid Row exists, is it's that pilgrimage, and then it's just a prolonged gold rush, man. It's this gold
followed
rush.
by drug addiction and depression.
But for me, so I found out I was an entrepreneur through necessity. So I said, okay, I'm too deep in advertising to change careers, but I can't find a job where I can work less than 50 or 60 hours a week. So I'm going to have to create that job. So it was an accidental thing. I found out I was an entrepreneur. I just took a really, really expensive personality test, like a super legit one for a whole team. And they're like, you're the most polarized entrepreneur that you can get. You're like 1 percentile in every single one of these extreme areas.
Was it the Colby, or do you remember what test it was?
It wasn't Colby.
I had to take the Colby, and I scored very high on entrepreneurial.
I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what it was.
There's a bunch of them. So
okay. So I just want to ask like about one thing, and
that's why I failed at 20th Century Fox too. I don't have the personality or skills to be an executive, not an executive. Sorry. I don't have the skills to be a mid-level leader at a massive organization.
Mm-hmm.
I can't handle it. It's the same reason I can't play soccer. I can't see the field. Like, and an entrepreneur is like, people say ADHD means you can't focus, but it's more like Asperger's, where you can only focus on one thing at a time. It's really like an inability to multitask. So often it's just very difficult to juggle all these. So entrepreneurs, it's like, here's the mission, and I'm going to kill it. That's why I was good at swimming and horrible at soccer. Swimming, it's like, get to the other end of the pool and back as fast as you can. There's nothing else, Soccer, it's just like, I don't know what the hell is going on with all these moving pieces. You know what I mean?
I get it. So okay. So you're working at, and so you lived there. How long did you live in LA?
3 years.
3 years. So, and you grew up like in Salt Lake City?
Grew up in Mount St. Helens wilderness area, north of Portland.
Oh, okay. So what was your, like, when you first got to LA and you started working around these people? Because LA people are like, they're neurotic. It's unbelievable. So when you were really around a large group of these types of people, what was going through your mind, and what were you experiencing?
I felt like I was suffocating. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe. So when I was at Crispin, Porter and McGusky, they have such a strong interview process there that they had some of the best people in the world, genuinely good people at CPB. people you want to be around all day. Incredible talent, just great character. It wasn't until Hollywood that I got into that, like where the guy would fire everyone. He'd fire 15 people in a room, and sniffing his nose a lot. And then someone tells you just show up the next day. That kind of stuff. It's the only word for it is toxic. Like it's just a group of psychopaths in the same organization. And not all the studios are like that, but the
people who rise to the top, definitely most of them are sociopaths.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, there's a great book by John Ronson about that called The Psychopath Test, which talks about how psychopaths tend to rise to CEO positions and high-level management for corporations.
I think if you look at San Francisco and Los Angeles, you've got Gold Rush, right?
Yeah.
Only either a outlaw or a super desperate person or a sociopath goes west with a hand cart to look for gold. Okay. Yeah. The normal people sell shovels, and the psychopaths, they don't stop. They can't stop. And so they are all still there. And so you've got
years of evolution from that.
And so then you have just on constant influx of desperate people with low self-esteem and childhood issues that want that validation from the whole world on the screen. And it's just like a predator situation.
Harvey Weinstein entered the room.
Yes. Now I gotta wrap up this last thing here because we're talking about faking it till you make it. You wrote an article, or I'm sorry, you were featured in the Forbes 30 under 30, and then you recently wrote an article, or maybe it might be a year or two old, how you said that you faked it to get on the Forbes list. Tell me a little bit about that, like what that looks like. Like, what was it? What did it mean to get on that list for you first and foremost? And what did it do for your business? And then what do you mean? What do you mean when you say you faked it to get on there?
So until I got that, I genuinely felt that Forbes 30 under 30 meant nothing to me. I thought it was like a very egotistical pursuit to try and get that, or to like orient my life or do things in a way to get that. However, I did see a really clear benefit to hacking media in order to get that recognition. So what I did is I called up the most influential people we'd ever worked with in our commercials, like Laura Clary, Manon Matthews, JP Sears. And I asked Laura Clary if I could nominate myself as her so that she didn't have to do any of the forms filling out. She said, fine. She's got like a few million followers. So I filled it out. I sent her the link. She tweeted out the nomination. And then I called all the most influential people I could find and had them retweet it. And of course, we tagged the Forbes 30 Twitter handles and a couple other of those handles. So what happened is Forbes they don't really care about who deserves it. They really care about the business of reach with selling more impressions. And so, So when they saw I was getting a lot of retweets from influencers, they probably stopped caring so much about how credible I was and caring more about the kind of reach that I would generate if they put me on the list. That's what did it.
But I think all awards are, I mean, manipulatable or whatever you want to call it. I mean,
it is really weird.
You're just doing the same thing that everybody's done for years, except you're calling yourself out for it. That's it.
It's really weird that adults get awards. It's really weird,
right?
You know?
Kind of weird.
We like to congratulate each other.
But it's like this is something that, like for instance, I'll do this with a company where I'll write a press release. I'll go on Fiverr. I'll find a guy to distribute it to all the AP. It'll get picked up by some newspaper or some online journal somewhere. And then I'll take that piece of content and I'll post it and I'll be like, hey, look, we're getting mentioned in this blah, 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 blah. So in politics, obviously, especially now, is all about just, I mean, it's crazy how the world is now manipulated through messaging.
So Crispin Porter-McGusky became the #1 agency of the decade from 2000 to 2010 because they pioneered that strategy. So they stopped writing to sell stuff. They started writing for the press release. So everything got really stunty. There was a decade period where journalism went from mostly honest to mostly paid off. And that was the decade where that worked. And now it doesn't work because the journalism press has lost most of its credibility. So we have a lot of companies, right, when we first started out, that had huge press waves in 2006 or 2010 because they hit the right article at the right time, and people would cling to that, and then that tapered off. They'd get that same tier of press now, and it doesn't do the same kind of thing anymore.
Yeah. So where do you see kind of the future of advertising? I mean, obviously, it seems that you feel Facebook is going to stay relevant. I predict at some point Facebook will die like MySpace, but maybe not. Who knows? Where do you see it kind of going from here?
So I do think Facebook is an unprecedented social platform because of the amount of personal information, memories that people have tied into it. So as far as the older generation goes, I think Facebook could survive for decades. Now, it may not stay relevant with the younger generation because someone is going to compete. Someone's going to invent something that is more addictive. That's just going to happen. Could be TikTok. Yeah. But I think that the future it's in the social platforms. I really do. I think Pinterest will continue to grow. TikTok will continue to grow, and I think we'll see more channels for action. I think over the top is actually really huge part of our future, like Netflix, Hulu, Vudu, Disney Plus. Eventually, those are going to become ad platforms because eventually content is going to be free. Like, it's just a race to the bottom.
To that extent, we had a political marketer on the show, Philip Stutz, back in January, and he talked about how Hulu sells information already. So there are ad platforms that buy the information from Hulu, and they can retarget based on like specific news segments somebody watched and things like that. So there already are ways of leveraging the data from Hulu. Now they're not, and obviously Hulu sells ads on their platform as well. But I agree that because Netflix has been collecting data for years, so they're sitting on a gold mine of data.
Well, Netflix,
and they're just,
Netflix shareholders are starting to really pressure them to run ads. They said they never would, but I guarantee you they will.
Well, the other thing I think the competition's here now. Disney Plus is here, and Warner Brothers and all these other companies are coming with streaming, so they have to do something.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is you're going to get to point too, where you'll get paid to go to the movie theater because the ads that are there.
Yeah,
there's a new thing too that I think is going to be huge. Which is it's C-commerce. It's a coin that's been turned by Wooly. They're a Utah startup, but basically democratizing influence because 3 years ago there was really influencers, and then there were people had zero influence.
Yeah.
And that's getting further and further democratized with the creative tools like TikTok, where someone with very below average talent that's really not that interesting can make some pretty cool stuff. That's us. Yeah, that's me. I put myself in that group. So I think C-commerce is going to be pretty big, where you're getting 1 million people to. Tesla has basically invented C-commerce. They don't do paid marketing.
We had a crypto person on. We haven't even aired it yet, but last week I think it was, and he talked about the idea of paying influencers for their reach, because instead of YouTube or Facebook making all the money off of this, like actually paying them. I mean, I guess YouTube is paying the top performers some of that money back to an extent. But the idea is that if you're providing traffic and you're the one that's doing this, why aren't you getting paid for it? Like, you're giving Facebook a ton of value for free and you're not getting rewarded for it. The other thing that I've been seeing is this idea of incentivized data sharing. So basically, you're getting rewards like gift cards and things like that if you take surveys and share data instead of the old way of just like us trying to covertly capture that data. So that's another thing I see is like potentially taking off.
Yeah, and to your point, eventually everyone is going to have some level of celebrity. Everyone's going to have some sphere of influence. Like, we already see just like the huge drop off with the Oscars and with the Golden Globe speech from what's his name?
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, the avalanche is sliding, man, and
yeah,
and so
and this is the weird thing as we get into kind of a post-human sort of world, I mean, this is really the last moment that normal human life is going to exist. And everything now is really about kind of marketing and hyper marketing and hyper targeting. And I'm, it's a challenge for the human race because we are also up against this whole concept of free will. And we don't realize collectively how manipulated we are by this technology. I mean, we are super hyper manipulated by it and what it's doing to us. So, I feel like we're kind of entering this new epoch of human evolution in a sense where the technology is becoming merged with us. And when I taught classes, I used to ask people, how many people think that they're a cyborg? And no one would raise their hand. And then I would ask, well, how many people can go into another room and not bring your cell phone with you? You're a cyborg.
So
right?
I think in about 30 or 40 years, you will not be able to survive or find food or shelter unless you have technology integrated biologically with your body, with your brain. It's gonna happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah. I believe it. And so this brings up an interesting point. And one of the things that I believe might save us as a species is as the Buddhists say, if one person is starving, we are all starving. But if we have a technology where we can actually see that person starving, feel that person starving, and know that like, oh, my actions just doing this little thing can either help or not help that person. I think that AI may get to a point where we'll be able to have like a biofeedback with our environment and other people, and we'll become
some sort of shared empathy.
I think humans are so integrally built for survival on the most animalistic level that I think humans will survive we've survived every single possible. We've survived the Ice Age. We survived books. We survived the bubonic plague. I think we'll survive AI. I think we'll reverse global warming. I think we have the capacity. I have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith in the survival instincts of humans.
Yeah, me too.
Couple closing questions for you here. One, what kind of clients are you specializing in working with, or what kind of industries right now are you working with at your agency?
Yeah, so the most common is direct to consumer brands, mostly in CPG, so consumer packaged goods. However, we work with a lot of services, SaaS, B2B. We work with a lot of national retailers like Potbelly Sandwiches, there's no D2C play there. So it's pretty big across the board. But our favorite clients are brands who are doing between 1 and 50 million a year. They have a high affinity for risk and growth, and they are ready to like double or triple their revenue. That's the most exciting brands for us.
So between 1 and 50 million is kind of the sweet spot in revenue. Mm-hmm. And how do and anyone that's listening that's in that range or still wants to contact you, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so you go to our website at www.chamber.media. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, or I have a public email, which is tc@chamber.media. There's no S in there. And we have offerings as low as $2,000 or $3,000 a month. So we've got offerings for literally any company of any size.
That's great. And so, check out chamber.media. There's no .com. It's chamber.media. And check out some of those commercials because they're very, very entertaining. So Travis, tell us, what are you geeky about right now? What's geeking you out, man?
Dude, I've been going on a Discovery binge watching the Bushmaster show, Bushcraft. Mm-hmm. And I really want to start making Airbnbs. Like,
what is that show? I don't even know what show. What is the show?
It's called Bushcraft Masters. And then there's this other show called You Can't Turn That Into a House. But I'm like, that's my dream, man. I want to go like find a huge cement drainage pipe and put it up on stilts in the forest and make it into an Airbnb. And I want to make like an Ewok village treehouse thing. That's like my geeky thing right now.
Oh, man,
Ewok village. Okay.
Ewok village. That's great. Well, yeah, that's a good one, man. Justin, what are you geeky about this week?
I guess Amazon gave me $5 off my HBO subscription, so I renewed it. So for $10 instead of $15. So I started watching this show called McMillions. I don't know if you've heard of it yet. It's about how the Monopoly game at McDonald's in the 90s was completely a scam and rigged, and there was this these people that were they were playing so much
time on that.
Yeah, they were playing the system, and like they discovered, like the FBI discovered that there were like 5 winners, and all of them had familial relationships. They all used different last names, but they were all related. And so it's episode by episode. So I'm only 1.5 episodes in, but it's and I'm not even sure how many episodes it's dripping out right now. But wow. It's a great start to the show. I really enjoyed it.
I don't believe in those contests, man.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
I grew. I was born in '83, so I grew up in the '90s. I played the Monopoly game like crazy. So.
Oh man, that sucks.
That's a good one. I gotta check that out. I actually read an article in Rolling Stone, which I didn't think I would find interesting, but because it's not my genre, but it's about the birth of heavy metal music, because I'm not a heavy metal fan, but it talks about the forming of the first heavy metal band and the first heavy metal album, which was Black Sabbath with Ozzy Osbourne, and so they started off as kind of a jam, like a blues jam band, and they would just Ozzy Osbourne and these guys. The bassist lost his fingers in like a factory accident right when they were getting big, so he had to relearn how to play the bass. And so it's really about the creative process and how they just really took this opportunity and they made this album in like 2 days. But the guy who did the recording just like mixed it in the right way, and they just had this right mix of stuff. And how it and even into the 80s, they didn't think that they were that big of a deal, but they were like Def Leppard or one of these bands were listening to the Black Sabbath album, and they thought, oh, these guys are just putting us on because we're here, and they're making fun of us. And they're like, no, man, we became a band because of you, So they kind of invented heavy metal. So anyway, I just found the whole thing about the creative process and how a company or how a band or how a book is written, the creative process of something is always very fascinating to me. So anyway, I thought that was...
Frank Lamy sliced the tips off of 2 of his fingers. So he made melted plastic bottles and tuned down the strings.
Yeah.
To the drop D tuning.
Wow.
So they were working
legendary.
I always thought Led Zeppelin invented metal. I had no idea.
Yeah, and so and that part of the story is really interesting. They kind of glossed over it, but the guy, they're like, just as the band is starting to take off, the guy loses the tips of his fingers, and instead of going like, he reinvented himself and reinvented his playing, and it made the sound that made the band.
Whoa! I'm gonna go listen to the Black Sabbath album by Black Sabbath now.
Yeah, the first one, and then read this article, and it all comes together, and it's just like, wow, they really brought something, and how they came up with their sound. And
metal's always been my main genre. And
well, and listen to that, and then read this article. You'll get a big kick out of it.
I think metal is a modern version of classical music, and there's a lot of studies out there that people with depression, anxiety, or other like kind of, I guess, issues that they're dealing with are calmed by heavy metal, where people who aren't, it stresses them out. So
yeah, I can see that. I mean, you're talking about 2 totally polar extremes. I could see how, depending on your brain chemistry, how that could affect different people different ways.
Dude, interesting. Bach and Beethoven, they were basically metalheads with they were, if you back then that was metal. That's metal, man.
Yeah, it's true. And I've heard some good metal versions of those. So you got to be there, man.
Well, on that note,
metal is life, and life is metal.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Travis Chambers, everybody. Great show. Great show. And thank you, man. We want to have you back at some point. So, check out his website. Yeah. And thanks again for being on the show, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Travis Chambers. So I happen to be standing next to my lovely vrouw of mine.
Oh, your Dutch is so good.
Ik ben de man van Iris. You're making fun of my Dutch.
It's so good. It's so good. I don't understand it. I mean, that's amazing.
It's super funny.
What's happening, baby? Who's coming up on the show?
Well, next week we are talking to a lady again, to a woman, a very successful young woman. Her name is Nadia Masri. And Nadia is the CEO and co-founder of Persky.com. And Persky.com is a search company. They invented an app, and they do a lot of research for companies like PepsiCo, big names amongst millennials. And what is successful is that millennials don't have the feeling that they are cooperating. How do you say that? Now my English is not so good.
How would you say it in Dutch?
How do you say it in Dutch? They don't have the feeling that they're like deep in a survey, but it's like more like a game for them, or just they feel really engaged in anticipating in that surveys, in these kinds of surveys. So Nadia is very successful. She already had several companies, and I think she has a great niche and a lot of good things to talk about.
Nice.
So that's next week.
We actually had a nice little prelude segment because she's the one that runs a company that rewards people for sharing their data. Like we kind of talked about that at the end of the show here, but that's what she actually does. So
yeah. Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, so till next week. Bye.
Okay. Wait. What are you geeky about right now?
What I'm geeky about. Well, I am geeky about building my own website and starting my own podcast. And it's called The Metamorphosis. And
good title. I like that title.
Oh, thank you. And I focus on people who went through a metamorphosis for what reason, a date, some big event, life event, and that they decided to do something else with their lives, like work, relationship-wise, whatever, starting in their own business. And so I want to find that kind of stories. And next to that, I'm going to make podcasts for businesses. So I am going through my own metamorphosis at the moment. And the whole goal is to go live on April 1st this year. So I'm working very hard on it. That's my geeky thing for the coming weeks.
All right.
Yeah.
And a very specific goal too. I like that. Time element.
Yes.
It's a smart goal.
Yeah. So, and for that, for the rest, the Marketing Geeks, of course.
And producing the show for us, because
fun.
She keeps the show running. Ladies and gentlemen, Iris Sturgeon, my lovely wife.
See you next week.
Yeah.
All right, man. So, that was a great show. Anything that you wish to?
Well, I have to mention that our podcast, even though there's only 7 people that listen, has been mentioned now in 2 recent articles. I happen to every now and then we get these little brand mentions, and I like to look into them. But we were named by Aaron Ayara or Aaron Burton, depending on where you read his name, as one of the top 10 podcasts. AKA the effectivenerd.com, as a top 10 podcast that he actually is more productive while listening to. And that's something special right there. I mean, we make the man more productive. I mean, that's something to be not taken lightly, right?
That's it. With great power comes great responsibility. So, Aaron, thank you so much for listening to the show and being one of our 7 listeners. And actually, he's a pretty interesting guy. So, Iris booked him.
My other favorite part, though, was we were named in a list of the top 75 podcasts that advertisers or the advertising industry is listening to. We were like number 26 on the list, and number 28. But my favorite part was that list, they highlight one social media network for each podcast. It happens to be Twitter, which is our lowest following. And it's just, I just find it so funny that we're like, every podcast on there's like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000
million
followers. And then it's like Marketing Geeks 26.
26. I think represents how many times people have mentioned us.
If you want to be number 27, go to Twitter and follow us. I mean, that's just, the reality is we created a Twitter account. We don't do much with it. And that's our fault.
But we are active on LinkedIn. So reach out to us on LinkedIn, and we're going to try and do LinkedIn Lives if we can. More good stuff coming. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, another fine... This was a great show, man.
This was really good. I really enjoyed the conversation. That's a very knowledgeable man right there, Travis Chambers. I mean, the guy, he's worked for some of the top advertising companies in the world. That's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, and definitely check out his website, because at chamber.media, because the videos are very entertaining, and it makes me rethink some of the things that I've been doing. I learned so much on this show, man.
It makes me rethink my entire life.
Yeah, well, I think that you should definitely do that no matter what.
That's right. No, but I really do. Yeah, we have amazing guests on the show. I love learning from them. I mean, the people that we're bringing on have a ton to add to the conversation, and they all bring their own element of value. So, I mean, we're learning a ton. Hopefully you are too.
And if not, let us know. You know, we want feedback. We love you guys.
We really do. That's right. Absolutely. So go check out McMillions on HBO too. If you have HBO, and it's a conspiracy. I had no idea that my money was being taken by McDonald's.
Imagine that. And with that,
stay classy.
But any feedback for us on the show? Or
so I think it's the most enjoyable interview I've had. I've done about 40 podcasts. I think this is by far the most enjoyable.
That's good.
Can we quote you on that?
Yeah. I'll go write a review right now.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marketing Geeks.